Hi guys, welcome to another Friday Tips with Fenz, down here at the Watts Factory, the nerve centre of FTP Training in the south coast of New South Wales. We're going to go back to November of last year, and I've just started to get back on the bike after my spinal surgery. What do I do? How do I start training? A lot of people do things very differently in terms of their approach to getting back to fitness. Classic periodization models would suggest that you just need to go out there and carry out, longer, slower distance stuff, building gradually and getting yourself back into condition. After 30 years of racing my bike, I've come up with a conclusion that the body doesn't actually understand that it has to follow a periodization model per se. It has to build gradually with progressive overload. But what does that mean? If you remember back to last week, we talked about training T-score, we talked about CTL, we talked about ATL and training stress balance. The T-score, remember, was the actual physiological load based upon intensity and duration. And realistically, if we base our training upon T-score, then we have a much better understanding of the pure load the body is on, rather than just distance or time, because it incorporates both the intensity and the duration of that activity. I tend to then build programs based upon the T-score and creating ramp rates or rates of CTL progression. Remember, that's chronic training load, that fit within parameters that I found to be optimal for riders to be able to absorb that load, not get sick, and build condition gradually and progressively. Doesn't mean you have to do low intensity exercise. So let's dive straight into November last year, and I'm jumping back on the bike. For me, realistically, 6 to 7 hours is really the maximum I'm able to train. I can still get to 67 kilos and hit nearly 400 watts for 20 minutes, but I still won't train more than about 6 or 7 hours. So what do I do, and how do I achieve that? It's based upon being very specific in your training and not wasting your time on the bike. Remember that to be good on a bike in terms of your performance in races, it's not about how long you can ride. Now, I'll contradict myself here in that when I was racing 24-hour races, I did do a lot of volume, because obviously you're on the bike for 24 hours. So therefore, that goes back to that specifics of training. If you're going to race 24 hours, you've got to be able to ride long, and you've got to adapt your body to burn fat sufficiently and to be able to manage that duration, both physiologically and mentally. Okay, but for most of us, the limitations to our performance are not based around riding for 24 hours. They're based around, can you make it across and bridge the gap to the break? Can you hold X amount of sustainable watts per kilo for a particular period of time to outclimb the guys that you're with on the hilltop, or to beat them in the time trial? So it stands to reason that to do that, we need to train at those intensities. We need to optimize our performance at that intensity. So if we quickly look at a beginning of me getting back into training, we will see that I did very, very little training as such. 7 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. More importantly, we should look at the T-score. The T-score represents, remember, our duration plus intensity. So you can see I did 7 hours this week and scored 388. But in the second week, I did 6 hours and 40 and did 420, which means the intensity was going up in this week. Okay, I've backed off. Again, knowing my body and knowing how individuals respond to training over time, the periodization model will change. In this first 2 weeks back, after a big long break, nearly 6 months off the bike, 2 weeks of quite good training meant I needed to have an easy week. Could well have been that other matters came into play as well, but an easy week to absorb that first 2 weeks of load and come back stronger again meant that I can then come back into training and hit the numbers and the targets that I want to hit, rather than carrying loads of fatigue and just defaulting to that tempo zone again. So this then represents the first block of my training. And what is going to be really interesting when you guys look at my most recent block of training coming into winning the state championships, it isn't much different. I still don't do more than 5, 6, 7 hours of training a week, but you might see some greater intensity in there with some real specific VO2 component blocks, ergo work that really makes you, target specifics. And it's hard. It's this old adage of no pain, no gain is an old school methodology for sure. But you need to target the demands of your race. And sometimes that's hard. If you've done it in training and you can hit the numbers and you've got your watts per kilo, then when it comes to that final climb, or it comes to holding that 360 out there on your time trial, you're going to be able to do it because you've already replicated it and managed it in training and built and developed your body and adapted the body to be able to handle that. All right, I'm going to check out now. Just as I say, a quick little look from today's plan of our first calendar getting back into training. Next week, we're going to start diving into what's a lot more current, and I'm going to start looking into some files and show you actually what it means, how we can track this fitness and our performance, and how we can optimize the performance to come into stay the state champs in my best possible condition after a massive layoff. All right, guys, I hope to catch you out there on the road or the trail. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.